Let me tell you something strange about love. It's not always love we fall into. Sometimes it's potential. Not who a person is, but who they could become. In the quiet spaces between emotional intelligence, empathy, and attachment, many people confuse compassion for connection. They fall for a future that doesn't exist yet, for the version of someone their heart can see, but reality cannot yet hold. It's not weakness. It's a form of deep sensitivity, a trauma response disguised as hope. When you fall in love with potential, you're not drawn to the person. You're drawn to the possibility of healing them, understanding them, maybe even saving them. Because deep down, a part of you still believes that if you love someone hard enough, they'll become who you need them to be. But here's the paradox. The same empathy that makes you see the best in others can blind you to the truth. You don't just fall in love, you fall into patterns. You invest in what could be instead of what is. And every time, you lose a little more of yourself in the name of love. This video isn't about heartbreak, it's about awakening. By the end, you'll understand the hidden psychology of why we fall for potential, how it ties to self-awareness, attachment styles, and emotional boundaries, and how to break free from the cycle that turns empathy into exhaustion. Because seeing potential isn't wrong, but saving it at the cost of yourself is. Comment one word below: awareness. Because awareness is where healing begins. It usually begins softly, almost innocently. You meet someone who isn't quite whole, but they have something, a flicker of promise, a spark beneath the surface. They talk about what they could become, and something in you awakens. You see their wounds, their brilliance, their potential, and that's when it happens. You don't just fall for them, you fall for their becoming. You fall for the version that lives in your imagination, the healed, mature, enlightened self that doesn't exist yet. You start to believe that your love might be the bridge between who they are and who they could be. That's not love. That's empathy without boundaries. Psychologists call this idealization through emotional projection. It's when your empathy becomes so strong that you project your own capacity for growth onto someone else. You think, if I can change, so can they. If I can love this deeply, maybe they'll learn to love that way too. But the painful truth is this: we don't fall in love with people because of who they are. We fall for the story our mind writes about them. And the more emotionally intelligent you are, the better your brain becomes at writing convincing stories. You don't love them. You love the narrative, the arc, the potential, the dream of watching someone transform with you as the reason they finally did. That's why empaths, healers, and overthinkers are often the ones most hurt by love, because they see depth in everyone, even in those who refuse to dive. Lesson 1. The savior illusion. It starts as compassion and ends as control. Not the kind that dominates, but the kind that quietly eliminating, "I can fix this." You see a broken person and think love is the medicine. But love can't heal someone who isn't willing to stop bleeding. Epictetus once said, "You cannot teach a man what he thinks he already knows." And yet, we try. We fall for potential because it gives us purpose. It makes us feel useful, needed, safe. If they depend on us, they won't leave us, right? If we can fix them, then maybe we'll finally feel worthy of love that stays. But that isn't love. That's survival. And survival has nothing to do with connection. You think you're saving them, but often you're trying to save the part of yourself that once felt powerless. That's the hidden cost of empathy. It turns your heart into a hospital for people who don't want to heal. Lesson 2. Trauma's repetition loop. Falling in love with potential isn't random. It's repetition. The child who grew up earning love through caretaking learns that love and effort are the same, that affection must be worked for, that peace feels foreign unless it's preceded by pain. So, as adults, we gravitate toward the familiar. We find people who mirror the chaos we grew up with. And when they show inconsistency, we don't run. We overfunction. We think, if I just love them a little more, they'll become who I see. But the mind doesn't heal through repetition. It heals through recognition. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." To grow, you must stop running the same loop. You must stop falling in love with the same archetype of pain. Because every time you confuse comfort with connection, you lose another piece of yourself. Lesson 3. The mirror effect. Here's the hardest truth. The people we fall for are mirrors. When you fall in love with someone's potential, you're actually seeing your own. The light you admire in them is the light you've forgotten to honor in yourself. Their emotional chaos feels familiar because it reflects your own unfinished healing. You're not addicted to their potential. You're addicted to the version of yourself that you imagine you could become if only they loved you back. That's why it hurts so deeply when they don't change. Because their stagnation feels like your own failure. But love isn't a mirror meant to fix us. It's a reflection meant to reveal us. Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living. The unexamined love is not worth giving." Because when you finally stop analyzing what they lack and start examining what you're trying to prove through them, that's when awareness begins. Lesson 4. The hidden cost of empathy. Empathy is a gift, but it's also a gateway. When unguarded, it invites everyone in, even those who never intend to stay. You think your kindness can change people, but kindness without boundaries becomes permission for exploitation. You think your patience is love, but patience without reciprocity becomes quiet suffering. And you think your loyalty will inspire growth, but loyalty without limits becomes self-abandonment. It's not your job to water dead plants. It's not your role to heal what others keep reopening. Because love without accountability isn't love. It's emotional debt. And you can't keep paying the price for someone else's potential. If this truth is starting to hit home, take a breath and comment one word. Boundaries. Because boundaries are the difference between compassion and collapse. Lesson 5. From illusion to insight. There's a story the Stoics loved to tell, of a sculptor who fell in love with his own statue. He spent years carving perfection into stone, only to realize one day that he'd fallen for something that could never love him back. That's what loving potential feels like, adoring a sculpture that never breathes. You pour your time, energy, and faith into the dream of what could be, while neglecting the truth of what is. Real love begins when fantasy dies. When you stop trying to sculpt people into who you want them to be and start accepting them as they are. Love says, "I see your pain, but it's not mine to carry." Love says, "I see your potential, but it's yours to fulfill." Love says, "I don't need to fix you to feel whole." When you reach that place, love stops being a rescue mission and becomes a partnership. Empathy stops being your weakness and becomes your wisdom. You'll start to notice a shift in your relationships, subtle but powerful. You'll stop being magnetized by chaos. You'll stop mistaking emotional intensity for emotional intimacy. You'll crave calm instead of chemistry. You'll value consistency over potential. That's when you know you've healed. When peace stops feeling boring. When love finally feels like home, not hard work. Because the opposite of loving potential isn't indifference, it's awareness. It's learning that some people aren't meant to be projects, they're meant to be lessons. And sometimes, the lesson is this: you can't fall in love with someone's becoming and call it balance. Because the person you're meant to grow with won't need saving. They'll grow beside you, not beneath your rescue. The hidden reward of letting go. Letting go of potential doesn't mean giving up hope. It means redirecting it. You start investing your faith where it belongs, in your own evolution. You fall in love with your potential instead. The potential of who you could become once you stop pouring yourself into people who can't meet you halfway. That's not selfishness. That's sacred self-respect. Because what if the love story you've been chasing in others was always meant to start with you? What if every heartbreak was just your empathy asking for boundaries? What if the hidden cost of empathy was never losing others? It was losing yourself over and over in the name of love. And what if now you finally stopped? Comment one word below: growth. Because that's what love becomes when awareness meets healing. There's a moment in every deeply feeling person's life when they finally stop asking, why couldn't they love me the way I loved them? And instead whisper, why did I think I had to earn love in the first place? That's the awakening. The quiet shift from needing to be understood to finally understanding yourself. The end of loving potential and the beginning of loving with presence. Because when you fall in love with potential, you're not chasing a person, you're chasing your own reflection. The part of you that still believes love must be proved through sacrifice. But love doesn't ask you to suffer for it. It asks you to see it clearly. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." And that's what this entire journey has been about. Perception. Learning to see people as they are, not as your empathy hopes they'll become. When you release that illusion, life feels different. You begin to feel peace where chaos once lived. You stop checking your phone for promises. You stop confusing intensity with importance. And you start to feel something unfamiliar: stability. For the first time, you realize that love isn't supposed to feel like waiting for potential. It's supposed to feel like peace meeting peace. That's the quiet miracle of healing. When you no longer crave potential because you finally become the person you once tried to find in others. Let me tell you something profound about the human heart. It doesn't heal through forgetting. It heals through understanding. It doesn't close to protect itself. It opens with discernment. You begin to notice how calm feels safer than chaos. You stop mistaking your anxiety for passion. You start to trust that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." But here's the deeper truth. In love, if it's constantly unendurable, it's not growth. It's self-abandonment. So you stop enduring. You start evaluating. You begin to ask better questions. Not, how can I make them love me? But, why do I think love must always cost me peace? Because real love doesn't drain you. It directs you. It doesn't pull you backward. It grows with you forward. So here's how you break the cycle, step by step. First, notice the pattern. Every time you find yourself attracted to someone's potential, pause. Ask yourself, am I in love with who they are or who I imagine they could be? Second, separate empathy from attachment. You can care about someone's pain without making it your project. You can witness their struggle without taking it as your burden. Third, practice emotional neutrality. Don't interpret someone's potential as a promise. Observe who they are when the world isn't watching. That's who you're really with. Fourth, redirect your empathy inward. That same hope you pour into others, give it back to yourself. Nurture your own potential instead of trying to rescue someone else's. And finally, let go with gratitude, not resentment. The people you once tried to save weren't mistakes. They were mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself that still needed saving. Forgive them. Forgive yourself. And walk forward lighter. Because when you stop falling in love with potential, you don't stop believing in people. You start believing in timing, in readiness, in reciprocity. You realize that the right person doesn't need your rescue, only your presence. They won't ask you to shrink for their comfort. They'll grow beside you, willingly, consciously, and without fear. That's love at its highest form, not fantasy, but partnership. Not potential, but peace. And when you finally experience it, you'll understand that what you once called falling in love was really falling into healing. Every person you tried to save was teaching you how to save yourself. So tonight, when you think about the one who almost became what you hoped they would, don't grieve the potential. Honor it. Because it showed you what you were capable of seeing, the possibility of light in someone else. Now, turn that vision inward. That's where it always belonged. You'll realize that love isn't about seeing potential in others. It's about awakening the potential in yourself to love clearly, calmly, and without illusion. That's not the end of love. That's the beginning of wisdom. Comment one word below: clarity. Because clarity is what ends confusion. Clarity is what frees the empath. Clarity is what transforms love from potential into peace. And if this message reached you at the right time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Not for numbers, but so that someone else who's still lost in the loop can finally see what you just saw. Because awareness shared is awareness multiplied. And that's how we all begin to heal. One honest story at a time.